Hi, everyone. I didn't realize my mic was muted. I've been talking for the last 4 minutes. How is everyone today? I just want to touch a little bit on the rally tonight at the Waikiki Zoo. They're meeting at 6 p.m. I really hope that you guys can join them. It's very important for not only Ariel's case, but for the other cases that we see that of children suffering from abuse in foster care. So I was supposed to originally have somebody come live with me. Unfortunately, stuff has been like super crazy at my house. So I had to reschedule a couple times and then I just felt bad. So what I did was the person who was supposed to come live with me, they typed up what they wanted to talk about because they aren't able to be here right now. And just so that I can kind of briefly touch on what they wanted to say. So, one of the important things that we are seeing in Ariel's case is the failure by CWS. They didn't investigate where her entire family was, they didn't investigate to put her into a family's house instead of foster care. They didn't properly background check the Kaluas. Sunny had multiple felonies. Lehua had a drug charge that was dismissed off of her, but she did have a drug charge at one point. There are different family members that were in and out of that home that also had charges that should have, taken them off of the list of eligibility. However, they still were placed there. And then we seen the article where they ignored abuse and they did that multiple times. That was the one time that it was for sure reported to the police. However, we do know that multiple people have said that they reported abuse to CWS instead of to the police, and it was ignored. And that happened for 2 years to Ariel. And so what I wanted to show you guys was this website that somebody sent to me just to show you guys that this march is important, not for just Ariel, but for all of the other children as well. Let me show you guys this. This website that I am showing you guys right now is a compilation of all of the different children who have been abused, neglected, or killed within the foster care system. So some of the children have suffered through physical, sexual, neglect, and deprivation. A lot of them were considered to be homeschooled, and so the follow-up never happened properly within the schooling system. However, that's not always the case. We do see a lot of children get abused that are going to public school and the schools report it, but it doesn't get followed up on. So just to highlight some of these cases for you guys, just to show you what we're looking at in the foster care system. Let me make that a little bit bigger. Okay, so this one is a case from 1983. It was an infant named Charlie. He was 14 months old. He was in foster care and was about to be adopted by Richard and Ellen Pluckhorn. He suffered from a skull fracture, sprained elbow, fractured scapula, and severed bow. So the abusers in that situation were the foster parents. There was Rebecca. She was from Bulgaria. She was age 7. She was sexually abused by her adoptive father. 10 children adopted by Dave and Wanda Dixon. This was in Lubbock, Texas. This was in 2013. They were physically, sexually, and depriving the children of food. 10 children that were adopted by Sharon and Reed Leonard. And this was in Missouri, 2009. And it says that they were physically abusing them. So these are all cases that have been recorded of abuse in foster care or adoption. And so what this does is this tells us that our system is broke. You can't fix this system at this point because these cases are happening so much. 13 children. Like, why is somebody even allowed to foster 13 to 16 children is mind-blowing to me. 15 children. This is in South Carolina. 18 different children. They had a nice family photo here. 10 of them were adopted and 7 of them were in their care. That was physical abuse and non-lethal deprivation, which means that they were starving them. Aaron and Jennifer Pickle. This was a 15-year-old boy and a 13-year-old girl that were being physically abused and being locked in their backyard playhouse for days at a time. And so the list goes on and on. Like, let me just show you guys. It just goes forever. Three girls, Charles Sparks, that's in 2008, sexual abuse by these are all adoptive parents or foster parents that are committing these. These are all the children that don't have voices to speak for them normally. You know, Ariel's case is very special in that her biological family did speak out. However, there are literally thousands upon thousands of children who don't have a voice for them. And this is why this march is important. And this is why what happened to Ariel needs to change everything everywhere. You know, she could be the light that shines on all of this that can make a real change. It just keeps going, you guys. And like, I can't read every single one of them because let me tell you how many there are. Hold on. So this is page 1 and it scrolls all the way down. There's 9+ pages. Let me look at the very last page. Let's see what number the last page goes to. So it goes to 14 pages. And like, the pages are very long. And I'm almost positive that this is not everything. But these are the known abuse cases in foster and adoptive care. And you know, Ariel's name will be on this list at some point. It's just so many children. And it goes from the 80s to present. Thank you, Karen Lee. So this is why this march is important, though, you guys. I just wanted to come on and show you that because this is not just for Ariel. You know, her voice, what happened to her, it's all important. And we need to make sure that she's not forgotten and she needs to be found. You know, we need justice to come from this, though. And we can't be silent. Just because they are arrested doesn't mean that we should quiet down. So please consider going to the rally today. Okay, and then what I was going to read you guys is this is somebody who has been in and out of dealing with the foster care system. This person seems to have a lot of knowledge about the inner workings of the system. And so she was going to come live with me. Unfortunately, the time schedule didn't add up. So I had her go ahead and write something, and I'm going to read it to you guys. So she's talking about the different types of laws. Now, ASFA, which is the adoptive... hold on, let me look it up so that I don't mess up what it actually stands for. What it is it is the laws that give assistance to adoptive families. Like, hold on one second. Let me close this real quick. Okay, it was passed in 1997 by Bill Clinton, who was a friend of Jeffrey Epstein, the child trafficker. The law was originally made so that children with special needs would be adopted. The foster parents to my grandkids took the children to a psychologist when he accused the three children of being special needs, which gave the foster parents more income. Both of the psychologist and the foster bend the law for profit. The profit comes from federal funding, which is taxpayers' money. The child protective agencies, all known by different names in each state, bend the laws by lies and false accusations. CWS in Hawaii, DCF in Florida, etc. They all play the same game: steal the children for a profit with the help of this law. CWS is supposed to contact family members to take children, but CWS will not get money if they place them with family, only if they are placed with strangers. And this is kind of what we have talked about in the past. There's no motivation for them to place them with family whenever they get a kickback from the government because of this Adoption Family Assistance Act, or whatever it's called. I gotta find it. But because of that act that was passed in the 97, they don't get kickbacks if they place them with family. Yes, I did just say Epstein. So what this person is referencing, I'm reading what this person wrote, and what they're referencing is that Bill Clinton's connections to Jeffrey Epstein, their personal belief is that this law was passed because it assisted people in their trafficking and it helped gain money. CWS is a for-profit organization. That's something that I have been touching on from the beginning. The fact that each child gets X amount of dollars from the government given to the organization, given to the people who run the organization, then given to the organization, and then it gets passed down to the local branch office, and then like a small sliver of that money gets passed to the foster parents themselves. So while the foster parents make cash to get these children, say their local branch office gets $10,000 per kid, while the foster parent is only getting around $600 or $700 a month. So really they're profiting, $9,200 to $9,400 off of each child that they place outside of biological family. So that's what this act did. It gave financial assistance to people to encourage adoption, but it also lined the pockets of CWS organizations in the process. Basically, by stealing your kids, they've been making themselves rich since 1997. So in 2018, the FFPSA, which is the Family First Prevention and Services Act, was passed by a group of parents who were angry, basically, at the cruelties of the ASFA, which is the act that gave money to adopt outside of the family. People changed that and they enacted the FFPSA, which is Family First. So some states have accepted it, but none of those states have put it to full use yet. And what this act does is it provides assistance to the parents of these children. Let me share the screen because I have the actual act put up. Wow, that doesn't sound super corrupt. Yeah, I know, right, Tim? Not at all. I'm sure it's perfectly, not corrupt. So this is the information about this law that I'm getting ready to be talking about. I did put the link to this in the description. I also put the link of the abused children in the description as well, if anybody wants to take a look at those. So the Family First Prevention Services Act, whenever it changed, a lot of the states haven't fully put it into use yet. But what it does is it offers prevention. So prevention in taking children out of the home. What they do is they give financial services and different programs to people who are at risk of entering into foster care to try to keep them with their parents. So basically what this program does, and one of the services that they offer, is they will actually put you into a facility with your children. Say there's a drug issue similar to what Mel had. To support families while a caregiver is accessing service in a treatment facility, states can use the Title 4E foster care maintenance programs to maintenance payments to support a child in foster care placed with a parent in a licensed residential family-based treatment facility for up to 12 months. So if Mel, for example, in Ariel's case, wanted to go to a treatment facility for 4 months or for 12 months, she could have done that under this law, and the kids could have stayed with her in this treatment facility and got care while she was getting her drug program, instead of the children being taken away from her and put into foster care. So the thing is, though, this act isn't in process yet. Like, most states are not doing it. Um, it also helps with their reunification process and gives payments to parents for 15 months after they are reunified with their children. So say the living together say that living together in the residential family-based treatment facility wasn't working out, and the children had to be removed and placed with a family member or a foster care person. That means that whenever the family is reunified, put back together, that Mel and Adam would have received payments for 15 months based on this law. However, Hawaii does not enact this law yet. It's not in place. Karen, I will look up where North Carolina stands in this. Like I said, there's only a few states that have actually started to do it. And they were supposed to be doing this by 2020. And it's still, like I said, it's not enacted in most places. And it's because this basically defunds child welfare services, because they won't be getting the money to place children outside of the homes anymore. And they'll be having to provide services to the families instead. And I think that's why this is like going so slow. So let me read the next thing that this person said. They wrote, FFPSA will give money to family members to care for the children. It will also place the children with family, not strangers. In Ariel's case, the siblings would be placed back with family under this act, not with strangers. Actually, by constitutional law, they must give the children to a family. The process, the mandated reporter. In Hawaii, when someone makes a call to CWS about a child or children, HPD must do the removal. The person who makes the call is called the mandated reporter. We are working on changing that law so that the person calling must have proof of child abuse. Today, anyone can call in and make false reports. And that happens a lot, unfortunately. So HPD, before HPD or any police department can remove a child from the home, school, or wherever, they must show a warrant to do so. But they never do. They must do an investigation on both sides, on the reporter and on the family. They never do this. They must answer questions: who, what, where, why, when, and how. They don't even know that they're supposed to do this. Instead, they contact CWS to come take the child. Once CWS takes the child, they, in most cases, never return the child. They go through the process, making the parents believe they are working with them, but the main goal is to take the children. So that is where, hi, Honor Rose, thank you so much for subbing. So that's where where Hawaii itself is failing, because HPD is not knowledgeable about their own like what they're supposed to be doing, their own policies. They have no idea. And as we've seen in that news report, they closed it within 24 hours. They didn't even research, they didn't investigate, and now look. The news report said that she was being beaten and starved, and she died by being beaten and starved. 2 years. She lived that way for 2 years. And it's disturbing that HPD dropped the ball so much. So not only is this about bringing the information to HPD and to law enforcement about what they are supposed to do. We have to stop failing our children. So the next thing this person wrote is, most caseworkers are young or older single women and men who have never had children. They know nothing about birth. They are selected on purpose. so they can never get emotional about the mother-father attachment. They are fed lies by those responsible about the parents to make the family look bad, like bad people. And I think that's hit or miss depending on which caseworker you get. Like I said, this is this person's opinion. It's not necessarily what I believe. Yeah, biggest shock ever in the world. The government agency has no clue about the policy they are supposed to do. We see that so much, but HPD um is being investigated by the attorney general, and they have dropped the ball on several cases from what I have read and found. So I'm not really surprised that they failed in this case. Sad enough to say, but Hawaii is having a lot of issues in itself. They hired a murderer to work in their CWS. And so it's like who's doing your background checks? Like what type of background check system are you using? Because it's very faulty. Very. Okay, so the next thing that this person wrote is the lawyers will charge you more than they know that you can afford on purpose. They will rarely win a case because they are told to lose. If you ever hire a lawyer, make a plan on what he is supposed to do. If he does not do it, report him to the bar. The more people who report dishonest lawyers, the better chance we have of changing the process. Judges work together with the agencies and lawyers to remove the children. Lawyers and judges are most likely paid by the agencies to lose the cases. Family court is a secret place. It's kept a secret without jury or cameras so that no one knows what's going on. So no one gets to know what they are really doing. They will say it's all to protect the child. This entire system in place needs to be abolished and replaced by a system that will help families in need. Removing a child or children from loving parents and families is not the solution. At the march, please make simple signs that say, for example, abolish AFSA, replace it with FFPSA. The entire system is corrupt. They make money on each child they steal. Stop stealing our children. The children are mine according to constitutional law. Kids for cash. Feel free to name the ones invoked in taking Ariel and her siblings. Name caseworkers, people from Catholic Charities, CCH, and from DHS, Department of Human Services. Lawyers, judges, doctors, psychiatrists, mandated reporters, teachers, principals. Label them all as bad people. They did. They failed her. Understand the entire community must wake up to what is really happening. Otherwise, the church, the food market, the dentist, doctors, store owners will see that foster adopters as saints, and they will support them because they are getting business and profit from them. So that's what this person wrote. Like I said, they were going to come live with me, and unfortunately, my schedule was just crazy today. Yeah, how ridiculous a murderer. Yes, Karen Lee. They literally hired a murderer. It was in the newspaper a couple weeks ago. I read somewhere that if a child is taken, the cops get paid some kind of funds. Is that true? I'm not sure about police kickbacks. I haven't personally looked into that. However, the way that the government systems work, it wouldn't surprise me if they get some type of funds to house the children until CWS would take custody, if that makes sense. So I think whenever we are looking into this, guys, and we are researching and trying to figure out laws that we need to change and trying to make a difference in this, I think the first difference that we need to make is force them to actually enact this law that they passed back in 2018. They could already be doing this. They could be giving the support to the parents. There's no reason, considering that the children went into foster care between 2018 and 2019, this law was already in place. So Melanie could have went to a treatment facility with her children to help her and assist her for 12 months while she was in recovery, rather than putting them up for adoption, rather than making them go through all of this. They could have been getting funds for 15 months after the child returns home, which means instead of a foster care person getting paid until the children turn 18, they could have been 15 months back on their feet, completely done, and then send them on their way. It gives them a time period to work towards getting a home, getting a stable job, getting childcare set up for whenever they're at work, all of those things. Like, I feel like that's a reasonable period to help someone. Um, and then the other thing is transition age for youth. This program also funds services that if they have aged out of foster care, so say the children, for whatever reason, it didn't work out, they did have to go into foster care, there was no eligible family, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This gives um, schooling scholarships to help out with their education training vouchers up until the age of 26. It seems like from everything that I can tell, it's a good law from what I can see. However, a lot of the states have not enacted it yet. And there's absolutely no reason to be delaying this other than the fact that they will not make the money that they were off of the children. Instead of payments going on until the children are 18, that $10,000 a month, it stops after 15 months. So instead of being, say the children went into care at 1 year old, instead of getting 17 years of $10,000 payments every month for the next 17 years, they only get for 15 months. And so I really think that's why they're delaying this. That's a difference of a lot of money. Let me see. 17 years times 12 months. Yeah, so basically, that can't be right. Is that right? $2,040,000 they would make off of a child in foster care for 17 years? Like, that's insane. But this is what's happening. And so this is why, like I said, I want to encourage you guys, go to this march, be a voice for this change. There are people working on the bills in the background because we want to change the first degree murder charge. We want to make sure that this could be tried for first degree murder in the future instead of just being second degree, because Hawaii doesn't have children on their first degree murder. And then we want to change the rules about the background checks for adoption. And Ariel is still missing, you guys. So please, make sure if you know something, if you've seen something, if you have any details about anything, please come forward and please speak up, because she's still what matters in all of this. And, this is about making a change to make sure that she didn't die in vain. The last thing we want is for her to go unremembered or for it to all be for nothing. Yeah, 2 million a kid. That's crazy. So, Karen, the actual CWS organization from the government gets around 10,000 a month per child that is in foster care. And they pass those funds to the lower organization, who takes a chunk of that and gives it to the adoptive parents or foster parents. And it goes up from 10,000. It goes between 10,000 is just like the base. If you have a disabled child, which is why I feel like we see a lot of autistic kids, or even like mood disorders and different things like that. You see people getting diagnosed with ADHD a lot, but they're in foster care. I feel like that's a lot of it too, because foster children, I think they bring in 15,000 a month. Why are they understaffed all the time if they are making 90% profit? Tim, if you look at what the CEO makes compared to what the bottom person makes, it's no different than any other organization. like the CEOs make millions upon millions of dollars, and then you get the lower level guys make nothing. I mean, even Goodwill. Look at Goodwill and what their CEO makes. It's an ungodly amount, and then their workers make minimum wage, and it's all donated inventory, so it's like it's just another way for people to make money. And unfortunately, a lot of our politicians get paid by these companies or these higher up people to look the other way or to pass the bills or to delay things. And so I feel like that's why this law, this Family First Prevention Services Act, it's getting delayed as long as possible, because that cuts off their money. Honor Rose, seems like all the good people can adopt children, but somehow the bad ones do. I know so many people who are struggling to adopt. I personally have a friend who has been trying to adopt for the last 4 years. She wants to adopt. She can't have children of her own, and she has been struggling, and she's thousands and thousands of dollars into it. But it's like, then you see people like Lehua and Sunny who just walk in and get children handed to them, even though they have felonies. It doesn't make any sense. Unfortunately, though, a lot of people who are good, like I feel like my friend, for instance, she's not interested in fostering. She just wants to adopt. So she wants to skip the fostering step because she doesn't want to get attached to a child and then have them get reunified with their family and lose that relationship. So I think that's part of the problem as well, because like fostering to adopt is free, plus you make money. But whereas if you just want to adopt a child who already, like, say, the parents already lost their parental rights, you should be able to adopt that child with no issues if you are qualified, if you pass the background checks. I honestly think that people need to undergo mental evaluations, home studies, and I have said this time and time again. I think every 3 months or 3 to 6 months, I say 3 months at least, for the first 5 to 10 years, these children need to go see a doctor after they're adopted to prove that they're not being abused. In psychological evaluations of the children. It just all goes into everything. But this is why this march is important. So if you guys are able to make it out to the march, I know some of you are not local. I hope that somebody will be streaming and or taking pictures of it. We'll see what happens so that I can share with everybody. But please, if you can support them, do it. And in the meantime, we need to keep her face out there because she's still missing. We know she is no longer with us, but we know that somebody knows where she is. Somebody knows where she is. And we can't let the pressure up. We can't let CWS or the HPD or this adoptive family think that this is just going to go away and that we're going to let up. Because we're going to keep being here and keep making noise until this is all over, until she is found, until laws are changed, until these CWS associates who completely ignored abuse and sent her to the lion's den are held accountable. And I don't just mean being fired. I feel like these associates need to be arrested for their part in this. If anything, they were negligent. In a way, to me, that seems like they were almost, part of the crime by looking the other way whenever they were a mandated reporter. So that's all I really have for those guys. I'm going to jump off here. I just wanted to come live and share this information about the adoption process and these different laws that we need enacted. Why won't the adoptive parents just do the right thing now? Karen, I don't know. We see that in so many cases where they're arrested, they're in prison. Some cases go Some cases go even beyond the trial. You know, you can't get tried for murder twice, so it doesn't make any sense why you don't tell where your child's body is hidden after you're found guilty. Like, just tell people so that they can get laid to rest properly. Hey, thanks for coming, Tim. I appreciate it. I apologize, guys, that I haven't really been on the last couple days. Like I said, stuff gets crazy around the holidays here because my husband's home. And so it kind of, you know, he gets in the way. So, all right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and shut down. Please go to the march. I will try to make a video later on tonight. There's a couple cases that I'm really starting to dig into that I want to try to bring to light as well, as Ariels. So have a good night, guys.